Hey, Sean here from SpeedCubeReview.com. I just finished doing a month of Petrus, so I'm going to make two videos. This first one is going to go over my thoughts on it. I'm going to actually have a top-down view in a second so you can see the cube, and I'll go through a few examples. And then the other video is actually just going to be a full tutorial of doing it. My general thought before we get into it is it's a pretty good method. It works really well. It's a lower move count, and honestly, it could be used as a decent method to be sub 10, and I think it's definitely up there with ZZ in being able to get amazing times. You know, there's some issues with it, but honestly, it could even be even with CFOP depending on who's using it. So we're going to go through why I think that, some issues with it, and go through a couple solves in just a second. Okay, so we're going to do a quick overview first on what Petrus is, so this won't be like a really in-depth tutorial, but just so you can follow along if you don't know at all what it is. So the way Petrus works is you first block build a 2x2x2 that extends to 2x2x3. Now if you're really efficient and good at planning ahead, you can plan the entire 2x2x3 all at once. That rarely happened for me. There was only a couple times that I had such an easy 2x2x2 that I could plan out the other pieces. Usually I would look for blocks like that and plan from there. And although I was color neutral on CFOP, I only did white and yellow on top or bottom for Petrus because there's a lot of things to look at. So with this block, I can pair it up with this piece, and then also I need the red edge right here. So I think what I might do for this is just worry about these two pieces. And so what I mean by that is doing something like that, and then inserting that edge in the back to make the 2x2x2. Then extends to a 2x2x3 on either side here or here. You could also say here, but I'm sticking with white and yellow for my own ability to look ahead. And there's different ways of doing that. For this, not really liking what I'm seeing right here, but probably no, I wouldn't pair that up. What would I be doing here? Probably something more like this, and then inserting this in a way where I can then do that. That wasn't very efficient, but we've got that block now. Then we have EO, and edge orientation, it's kind of like ZZ, but opposite. Instead of doing F moves, you're doing R and L moves. It's actually quite nice. And what you're doing is going to do R and L moves and then do a Y move to do the rest of it. So you're pre-planning to do a Y move. And so EO is now done. Or when I do this, now I can do the rest on this side. And from here, you could do winter variation, or I did a lot of COLL. So here, COLL, and then an EPLL. Okay. So let's go through what works and what doesn't work. So first of what works, it's a low move count. As long as you're being efficient with block building, it's about 50 moves on average, as opposed to CFOP, which can be on average just slightly over 60. It's not quite as efficient as RU, which is between like 45 and 50, but it's fairly close. So that's one thing that's really nice. And let's go through another solve, and then we'll kind of talk about what's nice, what's not nice about each step, and some faults or issues that I had with it. So creating the 2x2x2 block, I always looked for pairs. I had to force myself to not always make a pair like F2L, but instead pair maybe a corner to a cross edge. Since I'm coming from CFOP, I kept wanting to do that, so I had to force myself not to, which it paid off. It really helped me plan out a little bit better from there. So from here, I need to find the blue and white and red and white edge. Why am I having trouble finding this? There it is. So actually, this isn't too bad. Here, we've got something like this for that block. And then I had to make sure I'd turn slow enough to plan the 2x2x3. This is one of the issues that to look at all of these pieces and figure out what's the better block to make is a little harder to do than just looking for an F12 pair, because you're really looking for 3 pieces instead of 2. So with here, I could do this edge. And again, I tried to make it where I didn't just make the cross edge and insert from there, but it was sometimes difficult to do that without, I don't know, doing something really awkward or weird. And so here I'm not seeing anything right away. And so I'll probably put this in, and then there's the blue and orange, and then insert. But you see it's a little more easy to be forced to do rotations or do an awkward move. There is, unless you do the block in the back, you will probably have to do a rotation before EO, and then you for sure will have to do a rotation after that. So that's not so great. However, since you know there'll for sure be a rotation afterwards, you can go right into it without thinking, oh, I have to rotate. And I always tried to make this block in the back. That way I was here and ready to go right away. EO. Let's talk about that. So odd for me to wrap my brain around at first. I actually just did some solves for something else where I did a Petrus solve and I messed up EO. So I don't know if I did something wrong or I think I actually messed up the block and that's why it was weird. But for this, it's really great that you only do R and L moves. And in the way you have to do R and L moves, but know that you're doing EO for the R and L sides and not front and back. And that's really mind-boggling if you've done ZZ, or I guess how most people think about EO for fewest moves. So this is a bad edge, that's a bad edge, this and this. Again, you're going to have an even number. I would sometimes do, if I had 3 on top and 1 on bottom, just do MU M prime like Rue. But for this, I can do that and that, and then I'm done. And sometimes I'd try to influence what the last spot would be. I have the cross edge in again, didn't mean to do that. Sometimes I would actually pair things up like this. And again, forcing myself to do that and make more blocks instead of just doing like F2L. But this goes really fast. If you know the edges are oriented, I don't even need to see where that edge is. Like, I know it's back here, but even if it was hidden, I know that it's not flipped the wrong way. So I know I can just do this and pair it up, even without looking at that piece. And that's probably, I'm just going to mess this part up a little bit. That's probably the best part of this. And it's what's really good about ZZ is you automatically know edge orientation. So when you have pieces like, let's say, well, I'll just insert the cross edge here because I'm not seeing anything super amazing. Or I could just do, yeah, let's insert the cross edge. So I see this red and green, so I know that that'll pair up. And I know that how the edges are always going to be oriented, so that just always flows. And then we have the last layer, COLL. For soon cases, I'll usually just do soon, and then PLL. And bad AUF. Overall, Petrus is actually quite nice. I might keep doing it other times, and I think for some people it might be the better method to use. The reason is just because of the lower move count. So for me, although I can turn quite fast, I have pretty decent finger tricks for things, and from playing the violin, my fingers have developed to be able to be relaxed and be able to be accurate and not lock up like that. I'm not going to say if I meant to lock up like that or not, but I prefer to turn slower and do more looking ahead. So for people that maybe can't turn as fast or prefer just to turn slower, honestly, Petrus might get you better times than CFOP in the end. The block building was a lot more fun. There's a lot of options to do. And then learning COLL, it was really nice because you would often get PLL skips, like 1 in 12 times. It's a PLL skip. And then you can also do like winter variation and things like that. So I'll throw a couple solves in that I had where I had like one of them was a really bad start, a really slow start, but I did winter variation, skip PLL, and it was great. And then there was a couple other ones that I had that I'll just sprinkle in throughout the video, which you already probably will be watching, or they'll be after the video. So this video will come out first, and then I'll do the tutorial afterwards. So if you really want to learn how to do it and learn some tips and tricks, I'll have that in the next video, and I will see you then. So thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and as always, stop by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews.